Good evening. How's everybody?
Good evening, Rick. Wow, how are you?
Oh, just wonderful. Thanks.
I'm good too, thank you.
Awesome. You all right, ready for Thanksgiving?
Getting there. Just finished some shopping for dinner. It's always a prep work. That seems to be more.
I'm going to my mom's, and she won't let us do anything. So, I told her, I said, I'll do whatever you want, but she's nothing. I could do nothing. So all I have to do is show up.
Oh, well, that's nice. Yeah, that doesn't happen in this house.
All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. Again, first thing I want to do is see if you all had any questions from last week's assignments.
I have one particularly on mine. I know that I kind of drafted everything out. And do you want me just to go in and add more according to what the reading is this week, just to make all on what I did turn in terms of what's due this coming week?
Say that again. I don't think I understand what you're asking.
Okay, so in this week's assignment, we have to turn in key publics and messages.
Okay.
And so this is that's part of the campaign project that's due. And I know that on my specific project, I kind of did like an outline of everything. Did you want me to make adjustments to that? Or am I fine just to turn in that section again?
You're fine to turn that section in again. But if you have things that you want to add to that would be fine as well. So that outline that you gave me each week as you add to that would be fine.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for that. Annalisa's microphone is not working.
Okay. Yeah, I just logged in through my iPhone instead.
Okay.
Well, good. So, any other questions?
Not pertaining to last week's assignment, no.
Okay. All right. So, just kind of an overview. I think for the most part, everybody did a pretty good job with it. The biggest issue was the APA formatting and the detail in terms of the. So, some of you, I gave an example of what I would be actually looking for as you actually defined who your publics were. So let's just say, for example, one particular profile would be parents who are 35 to 45 years old, live within four miles of a given school, and had income between $75,000 and $90,000 a year. So really, that's the detail that I'd be looking for, because you're going to communicate with that particular profile different than you would with somebody else.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. And now, since my public is, for example, middle school parents,
okay,
I don't need to particularly target the finance aspect of it, right?
Well, you could and probably should.
Okay.
Because again, different income levels get information or receive information from different sources. For example, the higher the income level, the more that they're going to be generally getting their information electronically. The lower the income levels, it would be more hard copy, maybe television, maybe radio. But when I say electronically, they're actually reading news from the computer, social media, those different types of things.
Okay. Because I know like at our school, we have a specific way that we communicate with parents other than email and phone calls. We also have what we call a remind system, or it's called Remind 101. And it's almost like a text message, but it sends it to like the whole class, for example.
Right.
So I have it set up for my volleyball team. I send one message and everyone receives it via text. So it comes to their phone, and then I could also send it to their email. So they'll get the same message both ways.
Okay, but how do you know that they're actually reading it?
That is the part where I don't know, but I know that if they're signed up, they get the message. Now, whether they read it just as an email, that would be, that's a trick.
And I'm not asking you at this stage to know that, But the more we know that if we know that they're going to read it, or if we know that they did read it, that's when we can really evaluate how effective our messages are, and that's something that's going to come later down the line.
Okay.
And even some of you with your goals, I talked about the goals being SMART goals, and no matter what our goals are, we have to be able to measure if they're met. Okay, so and if they've been met based on what our message is. So let's just say, for example, we want to increase attendance. Just because attendance increased, it doesn't necessarily mean it increased because of what we've done. And that's really what we want to measure. So, so down the line, getting to that Remind 101 system, we may have great messages going out, but if we don't know the percentage or who's actually reading them, it's going to be very difficult to tell how effective they actually are.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Mm-hmm.
And that's a concept that is easy to understand, but it's also very difficult to measure. And people that are in your position, really, I'm not going to necessarily expect you to be able to measure that. Those types of things come with companies that have large budgets and can actually go out and do those types of evaluations. But we
okay.
keep it in mind.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
So again, I mentioned it briefly, but the goals, for the most part, your goals were okay, but they've got to be SMART goals. And in other words, they've got to be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that I will be harping on and making sure that you have, because if they're not SMART goals, we never really will know if we can actually attain what we're trying to attain. And that time frame is important, and choosing something that we can actually measure. And some people had awareness as a goal, and honestly, trying to measure awareness is very, very difficult, even for companies that have large budgets that go out and do that. So I would caution you to stay away from abstract things such as awareness. Now we always want to make sure that we're building brand awareness, and things can come from that. But for you all, that's something that you're not. There's no way that you all can necessarily measure awareness on what you all are doing.
Okay.
And that really leads into the piece that I want to talk about today, and that is with organizational media. For what you all are doing, I would be expecting you all to focus more on organizational media than necessarily media relations or community relations types of topics, because number one, most of what you all are doing is not something that's generally going to generate a lot of media attention.
Mm-hmm.
That's not and that's really isn't what you're trying to accomplish. Most of you are trying to accomplish some things that are going to affect your students or those that are close to you. So that's where the primary way that you're going to do that is through your organizational media and the media, the things that you all create. Your flyers, your posters, your banners, your advertisements, and those types of things.
Okay.
So in doing that, I think that the PowerPoint that's on the core shell does a pretty good job. what it doesn't really tell you, though, is, the idea that everything should look similar. So that when somebody even just glances at it, they should know that it came from your organization. The color scheme, the layout, the fonts, the slogan should all, it should be seamless. Let's just say that.
Okay.
So do you understand what I'm saying when I say those things? So like if you go to a store, when you go to a store to pick something up and it has a Nike swoosh on it, you automatically know that it's Nike. Or if you're buying a bag of Doritos, you automatically know, without reading the word Doritos, you already automatically know that it's Doritos or Fritos or whatever brand it is. And that's how you all should really approach your organizational media, with the color schemes and the logos and that type of thing as well.
Okay. Yeah, got it. Okay, that works. And that would include mascots, all that other stuff, right? The same.
Exactly.
Okay, that works. Now, can we start putting that PowerPoint presentation together and submitting? So do you still just want the written form?
For now, still the written form.
Okay. Okay, because I know when it was suggested actually on our assignment to start putting the PowerPoint together as it's gonna be due at the end. But if we just want that, text, that's fine.
You could do. Let's just say you could do the shell of it, but what I'd hate to see that you do is you put a lot of time into that, and then as you start to go through it, well, now I want to go back and start changing things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe if you have the shell, that's fine, but it's a lot easier to go back and change, the written piece and your ideas, and then maybe week 4 or 5, now start putting some of those other things together. Because I'd venture to guess after this week, you may even want to go back and change some of the things that you did last week in your research.
Okay. Mm. Okay, good. Well, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you for clarifying that.
So what other questions for this week do you all have?
I have one actually about the PowerPoints. I know that we get one PowerPoint that kind of echoes what the chapter is, and we have other PowerPoints each week, but they don't have like a reading to compare to or other specifics other than on the PowerPoint slides. Is there a place where we could get where that information is coming from, or is that just for our information?
It's kind of for your information. I did not actually put this class together, so it's I can look into it and ask and find out. I would say at this point, it's more for your information. I think for the most part, it's all good information.
Mm.
But like, even as I go through them and they list examples, so like the impact of media and technology, they took on the one slide, they've got 7 tactics, and number 2 is drive communication, and they've got Crayola in the, in parentheses. It would be helpful for you all to know where that came from and what they actually mean.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be helpful, and I'll see what I can find out. And if I find out anything, I'll let you all know.
Yeah, thank you. Because I read through them and I'm like, okay, I can I can make sense of some of it, but some of it is just kind of becomes oblivious to me because I have no idea where that was coming from or what they meant.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I think a lot of the information, it's good. It's really good information to have. But, is that something that's going to be helpful or beneficial to you all in what you're doing and what the project is and really what you all want to get out of it? That's the other piece how I kind of look at it as well. As I teach these classes, I'd look at, what's what do you all want to get out of it? What do you all want to get out of the class, and how is the class actually going to benefit you? So, if I've got a group of mass communication majors, that information is going to be much more important and much more relevant than it is for you all who are, primarily working with in public school teachers or private school teachers working with youth. Some of that stuff doesn't necessarily really pertain to what you all are doing, right? And how it's going to benefit you. It's, again, good information to have, but maybe not necessarily relevant.
Right, because I kind of feel like in all senses, in all online classes, not just this one specifically, but pretty much an online class is self-taught. You read the material, what can you absorb, what can you put together in terms of what the question is, but there's really no room for clarification as you're going through it, other than like a quick Zoom meeting, which usually happens as we're working through our work. So it's just kind of that whole communication. So that's why I want to, if this information is important, I want to find out where the source is so that I can implement it into my reading, into my learning.
Right.
In chapter 6 is where it talks about what we had in our slides, if that helps. I was just looking through it when you're asking. Since they did send these books from over there. All the students used it before, so it has just like a whole mess of like underlining. And a lot of the stuff is like similar to what's in the slides, so maybe it was just from there.
On the second and third PowerPoints?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
From chapter 6 in the book.
So those all of those came from chapter 6?
Yeah, most of the abbreviations that they went through in the slides, just now skimming through chapter 6, they're there. Not all of the examples, but
okay.
some.
All right. I'll go through, because then I may even be going off of a different book.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing too, because I know my book is a used book, but I don't have any highlighting in there whatsoever.
Oh, well, that's I'll see what I can find out, and we'll anything that I do find out, I'll pass on to you all.
Appreciate it.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then see, I don't necessarily use hard copies of books. I use all electronic versions.
Really? That doesn't drive you crazy?
No, it's so because I do so much traveling and moving around that I don't want to have to worry about carrying all that stuff. So it's all on my iPad anywhere I go. If I'm on a train, like so tomorrow, I'm actually in Pennsylvania now. Last time I saw you, I was in Hilton Head, and I haven't even been home, and I live in Atlanta. Okay, so tomorrow I'm going to DC. So can you just imagine all the books I had to carry around? I mean, it would just be, it's just too much. I pretty much everything I read is electronic from the from my iPad, and I say that. And right before class, I just downloaded the APA manual, because when I graded your papers, I actually have a hard copy of the APA manual, and I left that in my office here in Pennsylvania. And I'm not going back to that, and I had a question about APA stuff, and I want to make sure I had it with. So it's a mess. Hard copy books for me are just a mess.
It drives me nuts to try to go back and look for something in a page and then trying to look for it electronically. So this is why I prefer the hard copies, because I can just skim through back and forth as I need, rather than trying to do a search and it gives me all these different pages of where it could be found, and then trying to skim through that. That was my experience.
I understand.
Mm-hmm. But then I'm old school, so. Mm-hmm.
Any other questions for this week?
No, I'm good.
Awesome.
Good.
Okay, so you all take this however you want to take it. This week is Thanksgiving. I hope that you all obviously get your work done that you got to do, but I do want you all to make sure you spend time with your family, spend time with friends, and just kind of think about you know, what the idea of Thanksgiving means. And it's not always about, you know, making sure we have time off and we have to catch up on all our other work. Please spend time with friends and family.
Yeah, I know that's right. Like right now for me, it's crunch time. Trying to get everything done Monday, Tuesday, and maybe part of Wednesday, because after that, I know all my schedule is I'm booked, and I'm thinking, how am I going to try to find time Thursday, Friday, and Saturday to get it in? So I've got it's crunch time.
Well, I will be leaning on deadlines this week, so you know, take care of what's important, and that's friends and family.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, you all have a great Thanksgiving, and I'll talk to you next week.
Enjoy. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Have a great break. Be safe.
Bye-bye.
Bye.